A lot of people have asked me like, hey Mark, how are you going to all these events with the partying and the drinking and everything? And I explained to them like, look, being honest, most of these events I'm going to completely sober. And a lot of my friends and even people online said, hey Mark, I'm going to be honest with you, I've been trying to watch my drinking and everything. Do you have any tips for going out sober? Do you have any tips for going to bars or nightclubs or whatever, going 100% sober? So in this video, I'm going to give you my 5 techniques for partying sober.
Oh, hi, Mark.
Number 1, find an activity. Now, the ironic thing is I actually think it's way easier to go to a nightclub sober than it is to go to a bar, even though other people feel like it's the other way around. And the reason why is when you go to a nightclub, you're watching a DJ, you're dancing, especially for me, I'm usually going and getting footage. So I'm not thinking about drinking or whatever, I'm kind of in just activity mode, right? I'm either dancing or listening to music or whatever. However, when you go to a bar, especially one that doesn't have like a pool table or a dartboard or whatever, you're just kind of sitting there with friends, and it's way more tempting and way more difficult to drink. So my best advice is find some place that has an activity, especially like say when you're pre-gaming with friends, maybe play some video games, which is a great way, to kind of take kind of your mind off of drinking, because I feel like it's a lot more difficult being sober when you're around people and there's nothing else to do than drink. So at least have some type of activity, some type of game you're playing before you go out. And when you do go out, make sure you go to a place that has something you can do that doesn't completely revolve around drinking. Like I said, if you're going to a bar, find one that has a pool table or dartboard or live music, or basically something that gives you something to do rather than just drinking. Number 2, curb the oral fixation. I feel like a lot of times when people go out, whether it's to a bar or nightclub or pre-gaming or whatever, a lot of times you're almost sipping your drink subconsciously, right? Like you're not even paying attention. You're in conversation, you're holding it, you just keep sipping, and also you start to drink a lot more than you wanted to. So one big pro tip, especially trying to be sober, is to have another drink that almost kind of curbs that oral fixation. If let's say you're in a group, and let's say you are playing like a drinking style game, if other people are drinking and you have to drink along with them, have maybe a cup of water. Even do water shots. I've done that before. And that's, hey, keeps you hydrated and everything. Another thing is have caffeine. So for me, a big, going out drink is yerba mate. It's an amazing tea, super healthy for you. And the caffeine high, or that kind of caffeine buzz that everyone knows from coffee and everything, is the best on yerba mate. So what I do is before I go out, rather than having, a bunch of shots or a bunch of drinks, I'll actually just have a cup of tea. I know it sounds weird, but I'll have a cup of tea, a cup of yerba mate while I'm just getting ready. And it kind of gives me that same feeling as if I'm getting ready to go out and drinking. And obviously, it gives me energy because the caffeine is super important when I'm, go. Number 3, get over the hump. What I mean by this is I feel like a lot of times when people are trying to be sober for a night, they think of okay, I can't drink for the whole night. I just don't want to be tempted and everything. But I find that most of the time, it's usually only a certain period of time that you feel like you want to drink. But then after it, as long as you get over that hump, you're like, you know what, I don't even want to drink. And this happens to me a lot. I find it's usually say the half an hour before I'm about to go out, where I'm getting ready. I'm like, you know what, it would be nice to have one drink. But obviously, I don't want to be drinking and going out every night. So I'm just you know what, I'm just not going to drink as I'm getting ready. And then I notice that by the time I actually get ready and I'm in the flow of, making sure my phone's all charged up because I'm getting a lot of footage, I'm like, you know what? At this point, I'm getting ready to call the Lyft or Uber. I don't even want to drink. At this point, I don't even want to drink at all. And then for the rest of the night, I honestly don't even think about alcohol. So I find that once you get over that hump, and if you kind of look at it, especially if you're trying to drink less, if you try to look at it, look, you're not just trying to drink for the whole night. Just don't try to drink for the pregame hours, or just don't try to drink for the period of time that may be the most difficult for you. And I promise you that once you get over that, you'll probably be like, you know what? I don't even really need to drink. I'm not even in the mood anymore. Number 4, no cash, no card. Now make sure you plan accordingly. But a lot of times now when I go out and I'm being sober, I will not bring any money with me. And if you think about it, the biggest thing when it comes to going out is usually transportation. And with Lyft and Uber, they're connected directly into my phone. They're connected directly into my PayPal. So I don't even have to really worry about bringing a card out with me or cash to get a Lyft or Uber. It's automatically connected to my phone. So I'm going out to these nightclubs, a lot of times I'm also guest listed. So I'm like, wait a minute, there's really no reason why I need money. The only thing I'm going to spend on, being honest, the only thing I will buy if I happen to go out is 1, a drink that I don't need, And two, most likely than not, especially if I have a little bit to drink, is some like fast food or some Denny's that also I don't need to eat. So for me, what I do is I literally bring no money with me at all. And I know at first this may seem very daunting, like, oh my God, like, but what if something goes wrong? What if something happens? To be honest, I've never really had a bad situation by not bringing money out with me because my transportation, which in my opinion is the most important thing, is already covered. So make sure, just want to say this, make sure, you're lifting your Uber, whatever app you use, make sure you're lifting your Uber systems all connected with your bank account or with your credit card or PayPal or however you do it. Make sure that's all set up so you don't have to worry about it because, honestly, I've never had any bad situation by not bringing any money out on me. And it almost completely mitigates it because it's not one of those situations where you're like, you know what, I really want to drink, but I shouldn't. Now you're like, look, even if I want to drink, I can. I don't have the money on me. Number 5, last, but definitely not least, offer to DD. This is a great one because it honestly now makes you accountable, especially with all your other friends. So like say if your friends are getting ready to order that Lyft or Uber, you could be like, hey, you know what, guys, don't order it. I'm not drinking tonight. I'm being sober. I'll DD. I'll offer myself up as a DD. And this is a great tip because now you are in the position where now it's not like, you know what? I really want to drink, but like I shouldn't. Now it's like, look, I really want to drink, but now I can't. I'm driving. There's a lot of issues, as you all know. If like you even have a little bit to drink, it's just not even worth it. And this puts you in a great position. And 2 is I feel like it racks up a lot of good DD karma points, right? Because that way, let's say a couple weeks later, you do want to go out and you do want to drink. You can say, hey guys, I'm sorry. I'm not in the mood to DD tonight. I actually want to drink. I haven't drank in a little while. And everyone's like, look, we know you've DD'd us, for the past couple weeks. We'll get the Lyft and Uber on us or something like that, right? So you rack up good karma points and good DD karma points in general. And now a bonus tip. Have a non-alcoholic beer or a non-alcoholic cocktail. This is a great pro tip, especially if, let's say, you're in a social situation where there's a little bit of pressure. Like, let's say you're at, like, a giant party and everyone's drinking and stuff like that. And you're like, you know what? I don't want to be walking around with a cup of tea, the cup of yerba mate, for example, or just a cup of water. Even though I might not care, it might just be a lot easier sometimes just to have, like, a non-alcoholic beer or have, like, a drink, like a virgin cocktail, and you can make it however you want. I also know for a lot of other people too that it kind of brings out the placebo effect a little bit because you're drinking something that also tastes like beer, but also doesn't have alcohol. So it kind of makes you feel like you're still a little bit drinking. Like it gives you that kind of, like I mentioned earlier in this video, that oral fixation. It gives you an activity to do, so it kind of makes it a lot easier, especially in more pressured social situations, to have like a non-alcoholic beer because you're drinking a beer with everybody else. You're drinking like everyone else. If you want to chug the beer and do some type of drinking game with them, knock yourself out. But obviously not from alcohol, from just having fun with it, right? And so that's what's really good, I think, about non-alcoholic beer or like a non-alcoholic cocktail is that you can still kind of get all those benefits, so to speak, of being, with friends and drinking and having fun, but also you're not getting the alcohol in your system.